Are we live?
Hey everyone,
Boys.
we are doing our final live discussion for Brandon Sanderson. We're doing our final thoughts with Rhythm of War and The Lost Metal, which was his recent release that came out November last year.
Mhm. Yep.
And I honestly loved both of them. I was a little bit nervous about The Lost Metal because I didn't like the other three books. Maybe I have to revisit it one day and I might change my mind, but I just did
Yeah.
not. I wasn't a fan of it.
The first, or Mistborn Air 2, the first three books.
Yeah.
The third book was better than the first two, but I mean, like, even then, like, the whole Mistborn Air 2 was like a hit or a miss for me
Right.
until this last book.
Right.
And whatever he learned from the first three books, he definitely, fixed it in this Lost Meadow, because that book was phenomenal.
Yeah. It was phenomenal. But so which one do you want to discuss first? Because Rhythm of War is huge.
It is huge.
I feel like Lost Metal will make we can able to knock some things out with the Lost Metal.
It's your
Lost,
birthday. Go ahead.
Lost Metal was amazing. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I don't even really care for Wax. It was mostly about Wayne.
Yeah.
I really cared for Wayne. I feel like if he wasn't a character in the book itself, it would have been boring. Wayne is hilarious to me.
Wayne makes Mistborn Air 2 just amazing. I mean, and I think that when we discussed it, that was one of our feedbacks is like, the humor, the banter, right, of Wayne. Or yeah, Wayne. And so yeah, he makes the book. He makes it.
Yeah.
He makes it do readable, but his banter alone is phenomenal.
hmm And then Maracy, I liked how she was trying to not be in the shadow of Wayne or Wax. She was trying to find her own way.
He really was.
And it's crazy how the ghost splits came into play. I'm like, oh shit.
Because this is the fourth book for both series, there's automatically going to be spoilers. So, I mean, that's just what it is because it's the fourth book for both Stormlight Archives and Mistborn Air 2.
hmm
But when the Ghost Bloods showed up, I was like, and
Wait a minute, this is in story, right?
then Kelsier, we already knew Kelsier was a part of Ghost Blood, so I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
he's
but
coming back.
the thing was, I didn't know we were gonna see him again.
Yes, I
Like,
know.
actually, because in Stormlight, they don't really mention Kelsier or
You
whatever
know,
like that.
like the boss, they mentioned like the boss, or the boss, or something like that,
Yeah, they
right?
just call him the boss. They don't say Kelsier in Stormlight, or he's called a different name. I don't whatever something in Stormlight. But how are you, Gabby?
I am good. I'm in the last 100 pages, guys.
Oh,
Which one?
Rhythm of War.
oh my!
Oh, okay.
Those pages are epic. I mean, the whole book was epic.
Seriously, I will say this is my favorite of the entire series right now. Like, it beat Oathbringer for me.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a lot of people believe or say that Rhythm of War is their favorite out of the series.
Mm-hmm. It's just
I
like,
liked it as a whole though because
Mhm.
it made me go in an emotional roller coaster with all of the characters.
All of them,
I
yeah.
was questioning if I really truly like Dalinar all like that, especially with Oathbringer, like with all his secrets just coming out.
mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen the growth of each and every one of the characters, and then about Wit and stuff, I was like, what? So,
Wit is oh, do we call him Wit or do we call him Hoyd?
they
Because
call
like
him Wit.
call
Yeah, I
him
mean, here they
at this
call
point
him
we just
Wit.
call him Wit, right? Because
Yeah.
I feel like I know him more as Wit than I do Hoyd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just God. He is so freaking funny though. Like
It's
I
funny,
love
but he has a lot of knowledge, and it's crazy how him and Jasna were. I'm like, okay. There's
He has a lot of knowledge, and then he knows where to be at the right time, right place. And so I cannot wait to read his book, because like how do you know where to be and what's happening? And it's like he knows the characters before they know themselves, right? Like even in the beginning of Stormlight Archives, he would like do a storytelling and like say you're gonna, just like show up and meet these main characters, and like how do you even know that they're gonna be, relevant to this whole war situation or whatever is going on? So it's like he knows the characters before.
I think he's like a god. I know a lot of people, they were questioning like he has to be some type of god, and like I think he is.
Maybe he's the 17th shard.
We don't know. We don't know yet. And I'm like,
because there's 16 shards, right? It was split Adalism, whatever, I don't know. Was split. The original god was split into 16 shards, so maybe he is the 17th shard, because they mention that in like what Mistborn Heir 1 or 2.
Yeah,
17.
Yeah,
he could be the 17th shard.
He could be.
But then he said something like, they were like, "Are you a god? What are you?" He was like, "I'm not a god."
Yeah, he was saying he wasn't a god.
Yeah, so, he's something. Because he's not just no regular world hopper.
No.
He shows up at the right place, right time, too freaking much.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start calling him the Doctor Strange of the Cosmere at this point.
Yeah.
I love that.
Am I wrong though?
No.
He's all over the place within time and everything. I don't know. I know Hoyt. I know this year he has his own book for Hoyt. So I wonder if that's going to go into his past and possibly present us some of his future. Or I honestly don't know. He's a big question mark. We've seen him in Warbreaker too when he was a storyteller. Obviously, he's a great storyteller. And for him to have seen all of this, like even a storm like that last story he told, that was hilarious to me.
The dog and the dragon.
Yes.
The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, there's meaning behind this. There's meaning behind this. And Kaladin's like, what was the point of that story? Like, were you trying to tell me to not give up? I said there was no meaning, and you promised not to read into it. Like,
yeah. As humans, we tend to do that. We're like, okay, we try to find a meaning to things. And sometimes there is no meaning. There's not.
So I just deep sometimes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Especially there were more I really enjoyed. Lost Metal I enjoyed.
Oh gosh.
I'm glad.
One thing that I really loved about Rhythm of War as well, Shallan. Shallan, I feel like I understand her a lot more. I was so confused with the multiple personalities, but it really feeds off of like we all have a bad side, we all have a good side, we all have this complex side. And so throughout this book, I feel like I knew her a lot more, and the way she was able to switch, and Adolin knew who was who. I was just like,
right.
Gosh, I love the fact that he brought in a lot of mental health discussions within this book, whether it's multiple personalities, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, grief. Kaladin at the end, I was in tears.
I like Kaladin because it made me think of what's happening in the U.S. with our veterans after they've done everything. They kick them to the curb, and they have nowhere else to go.
That's a good point. Getting forced into retirement.
Right. And he was like, okay, he went back to his home. His dad was being a jerk to me. Yeah. And, he was like, maybe I should be a surgeon again. But then he saw his bigger purpose was to help everyone to get through what they were going through, all the trauma and stuff from being a soldier and all that. And I was a little bit mad with Dalinar. I'm like, Dalinar, you just pushed him aside. I mean, he's been through a lot. He's been marked as a slave. He lost his brother. And you just did all that.
Well, and I got really mad at Kaladin's dad too, because the whole time after, when Kaladin ends up going back into being a soldier, essentially.
Mhm.
His dad just like tears into him and says he's no longer his son and all these things. And I'm like, I started thinking about that too, though, where it's like, you know, you have those parents where like they set themselves and their children up to do so much. And when that child, in whatever case it is, whether it's going into a certain career, having a certain sexuality, you know, having somebody like stay in their cisgender, you know, whatever the case is, you have those parents that are just gonna completely cut off their kids if they don't do what they want them to. And that's heartbreaking and it's unfair.
Yeah. I see that perspective, but I also looked at it as Kaladin is not the person that, you know, he was when his dad raised him. He is not, he's a completely different person. So like him saying, you know, that's not my son. I see part of it is like, you didn't raise a soldier. You don't know who this guy is anymore. You don't understand him in his ways and his logic of thinking and his actions and choices. And so like that probably hurt his father too. It's like, I did not raise this killer, this awful person, this soldier. I don't know who he is. From both perspectives, his dad, I wanted to beat the fuck up because like no matter what that's done, but at the same time, like I see pieces of it like, oh, okay, this is not what we do in my family. Like this is not who we are, type of thing. And he just ready for it.
He had to educate himself. Like, of course, it's not going to be the same person. He's been gone for how many years?
Exactly.
And, I mean, you could have really.
You could have stepped up and actually tried. That's
or
what
you could have went with him, because that's the only reason why he even went into war, because of his brother, to protect him. Like, you could have been like, no, I can't. You know, some fathers will do that. They'll be like, no, I'm going with you.
Right.
You know, he decided to stay. So, but
he was the only surgeon, though, from my understanding.
Yeah,
I think he was
the only surgeon. But even when it came to saving his son's life, he was even questioning it. And I felt like, no, you're definitely not a good dad right now. Like, you are just gonna let him die. I'm glad his mom said something, because I'm like, I'm thinking like, okay, you have a mom. How come she's just like not saying nothing? But then she finally did say something, so I felt like, yes, a clap.
When she tore into him, I was sitting there like, yes, Mama Bear coming out, let's go.
Yeah, this is my son, and if it's not you, it's still my son.
It's still my son. Yeah. I love it. Oh gosh. I can see, you know, when you have a family, when you have a way of life and the way, you know, your belief systems and then somebody that you've taken care of is a completely different person outside of that. I can see a part of like, you know, you being hesitant, but at the end of the day, he was your son. You shouldn't have disowned him like that. Like that. Oof.
Right.
And then on top of the fact that he was already grieving from, you know, losing his position as a soldier and having to step back, like that alone is grief. And so, yeah, his dad just, you know, added on top of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, freaking jerk.
There was just so much with Rhythm War, like the Ghost Bloods, everything, Marays.
Marays. Oh, God.
There was a lot there with him and his schemes.
Well, and Adolin, honestly, top tier book boyfriend, book husband, like
yes,
the so best. Supportive, very supportive.
And not only that, but the pure fact that he's willing to put his life on the line for everybody else, like that, love it, love him. He was a bit of a player at the beginning, but I get it. He was that very young.
He
was very young, naive, and then he shacks up with Shallan and cleans up his act real quick. I'm like, oof, I love that kind of guy.
Right. Like even in the beginning, it gives you the perspective of Navani and Gavilar. Gavilar, he was just a whole dick. Like, he just was terrible. But he even put her in her place, be like, you know, you only married me because of my standing. I'm like, oh yeah, she a gold digger. She really was. because of the status, even though she was really she really loved Dalinar.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting with Navani. I still feel like there's more to Navani though that we don't know about. But
Yeah.
I find that interesting, and how Gavilar wanted Justna to marry Amarim. That was interesting too. Like, who would want to marry him?
Who?
Amarim. He was the
Oh.
one that enslaved Kaladin and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that took his shard blade.
Yep. It was a whole bunch of characters.
Justna wanted to marry him? I don't remember that.
Gavilar was trying to Justna marry him.
I was like, hold on. I don't remember Justna wanting to marry nobody.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of, like, we got to see Vasher Zahel again when he was trying to help Kaladin and tell Kaladin, like, if you still love fighting, then I can't teach you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part, because if you still love it, that's a problem. So
he was really trying to, after Kaladin left, he was really trying to find another way of, having purpose and being, what do they call them? What do they call them? The people. The Vasher is God. They have a specific name.
Oh, I can't remember.
He was wanting to join them, and I really appreciate that Vasher was like, no, you love the thrill of fighting. Like, you cannot join us because of that.
Right.
And he really struggled, like, knowing I don't have a purpose anymore, because his being a soldier was his purpose, being a leader was his purpose. Oh God, Kaladin, just throughout this entire book, Kaladin and Seal.
Yeah. But I also like Vinley too. I was starting to get her perspective when they kept bringing back and forth with her sister Ashenai and all that, and how Ashenai was teaching them how to speak their. I'm like, girl, what you doing? And this reminded me of colonialism. Like, man, like once they started learning everything about y'all and the land, they just took it all. Gavilar made sure to take it all, and I'm like, man.
Well, I will say, the last chapter I read was the one of Navani, like, finding out that Raboniel was not necessarily completely the villain, even though she still was villainous. Like, when Moash comes through and he's starting to kill a bunch of people, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I will say, I was really shocked with Raboniel. Like, that was, like, the whole time Navani's trapped in the tower, this whole sense of unease comes around for me, where I'm like, okay, I know Raboniel is trying to get Navani to do what she wants, but something's not quite right here. Like, I still felt that there was something more to the story. And so seeing Raboniel kind of come in and be like, no, you need to take this and go run, because I think you have a better shot at winning than even the plan I had originally. And I'm supposed to be all knowing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, like how that really got flipped on its head.
Yeah. When it came to picking sides, I was like, I can't really choose a side. And I was like, I can't say, like, they really want their land back. They want,
and they deserve it.
Yeah. So it's like, I can't really be on, like, it's like, is there some type of compromise? That's what I was looking for. Some type of compromise. I didn't get that.
I mean, is there any type of compromise in real life when it comes to people wanting land?
Exactly. No, or like reparations. You know, like something, for
they've been slaves for so long, like,
for the pain they've caused,
right.
There can be, like, you can't get those lives back, but you can try to figure out a solution to better their lives and stuff, But I don't know. I don't know. But even with when we were mentioning Shallan, and like even in Lost Metal with Marasi, how they both like said no, like with the Ghost Bloods. That was shocked. I was thinking that one of them would have went to the Ghost Bloods,
Yeah.
but
I kind of want someone to like be a part of it. Like I want to know the details. Say the oath, do whatever. Like I want to know.
because I feel like Kelsier he has a bigger picture for them. He's just not
Yeah.
really saying,
Mhm.
everything.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get something like that here soon, especially with like the Lost Metal having come out and it getting back in people's minds since, the Stormlight Archive and everything. Like, I'd be willing to bet in the next couple of years there's going to be some expansion on that group in particular in
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, because
Maybe it's one of the secret projects. We don't really know.
I don't know. I know there's a book for Hoyd. I know there's one called Trust.
Yeah, I thought it was just like new series within Cosmere.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Stormlight 5 comes out in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to say that most of the series, other than Warbreaker and Elantris, are finished.
Yeah.
And Stormlight, of course. But yeah, I just even with the Ghost Bloods, like Kelsier is not a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not.
No.
So like the Ghost Bloods, yes, they did try to kill Jasna, which so like
Kelsier has always been the type that somebody has to be sacrificed in order to do this or
Yeah.
to get to this certain place.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just kill people just to do it. He has a motive.
He does.
It has to be strategic.
Yeah, like Jasna, also she's now the queen or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Maybe he felt like they didn't need to have one. Maybe that was a compromise where, the Parshindi, all of them could have that back. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I wish I knew more about like the details within the Ghost Bloods, because if he's running it, like, and I understand why Shalon or all her people Shalon has, I understand why she didn't want to be involved. Like, absolutely not. Like, it started off with a bad taste in your mouth. You try to kill her mentor.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't see the Ghost Bloods being like this awful group because of Kelsier. I don't know.
I mean, if you think
I
about,
would think that they would just be like, world hoppers trying to save the world. I don't know.
well, but if you think about Mistborn Era 1, he created a group to fight a bigger cause. Maybe he sees a bigger war approaching, and he's trying to get people to be part of his group.
Or who's to say that Maraise is not a rogue group?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Maraise is the one that, is ruling.
Yeah. Because that was what my first thought was if this was going to really be something from Kelsier, Maraise does not fit with any of the people that Kelsier had been around with. So it's either like Randy said, for like a bigger war, or it is a completely rogue group that we are becoming aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, there are world hoppers and other worlds that people can come. They can come there. So who knows? Maybe he sees something that, because technically he's where, like, he's there, but he was in when he died, he was in
the spiritual realm.
Yeah, so maybe he saw something or something. I don't know. Maybe he just knows something is gonna go down, so he's trying to get all of his allies together, like even Marcy. And I'm like, he wanted her. I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, he wanted Marcy because she's really smart and she's able to solve things. Shalon, she's very cunning. She was just willing to just do whatever with all
she's
her
pretty malleable too. They can kind of form her into what they want in some ways.
Yeah, with all her different personalities. But she was also fighting herself in the book, though. Like formless and all that.
The
and
scene,
then her sprint too. I was not expecting that.
God.
I was not expecting that at all.
that whole scene, especially when Vale is like, I need to go. You need to live without me. I need to give you these memories back. I started crying. I was like, that's
Mhm.
so hard.
Yeah.
But like, if you actually look at people who experience things like DID, that is such a hard process when they have personalities that fuse or separate. Like, that is a really hard process. And that all happens through the repeated trauma and what they go through in terms of their journey with dealing with that trauma. And so, like, just seeing that on page, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so hard.
Mhm. Like, those are bad memories. Sometimes I'm like, you need those memories just to learn from them, because in the end you might do the same mistake again.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. If you could have the way of just forgetting about those bad memories about the people that have died or you killed, whatever it may be, like, that's, that would be nice, where you don't have to live in that pain. But then again, you still need it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. We
Yeah.
always hold on to bad memories either to protect us or to try to learn from. And sadly, the ones that get repressed, we need to learn from, but they're just so hard to deal with that, like, that's where the protection comes in. Like, we repress it to then protect ourselves too.
yeah.
And that's very hard to deal with, like, in more ways than one.
Yeah. And I think that's why she needed Adeline. I think Adeline was just a great person that she was with at the time. He wasn't a jackass or nothing. I like Adeline. At first I'm like, oh, he a player. But then he became, her partner, her husband, so it's like I was happy.
I love Adeline.
I really love her.
But we got to see a lot of the gods in this as well: honor, cultivation, odium. And I really struggled with, and I had to write it down, like the names, switching between their names. I was like Tarbangian. Okay, odium. And it was just okay.
Like, they even mentioned Hoyd's old name, which was Cephandrius. I'm like, who is this? And it was weird because I looked it up and he said he is the second oldest character we have seen so far in all the books. And I'm like, who's the first oldest character? And I was like, I don't know.
If he's the second, the first one would be the original Shard, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. So I'm like, huh. That was an interesting fact.
Maybe the original Shard and whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. It starts with an A.
Adonelysium?
Yeah, Adonelysium. Anyways, maybe it kind of reminds me of like N.K. Jemisin's book, where you create someone and fuse them. Maybe she made her own Spren type of person, and that's Hoyd. And then she got broken up into pieces.
I don't know.
Maybe he is part of the god. Like, he's not a god, but he is part of the original god.
Yeah, like I know Ray's, he was the shard holder of the shard of Analysium and Odium.
Well, and that would explain too how he's able to change his shape so often, because he looks different even from every series. Because we've all wondered how exactly it is that this is the same person that looks so different. Maybe that's because he's a Spren, because the Spren can manipulate their forms so very easily. Like, just looking at Syl constantly changing over, like, especially when Callan is working as a surgeon, you see her switch to and from as objects to people. Like, who's to say that he's not a Spren because of that?
Right. That reminds me. That reminds me when Adeline was on trial because you're killing, like.
Oh my gosh, those Spren were like, well, we standing up for this. Like you're not gonna do this to us anymore. And what was it? The Knight, the Herald. Like, you already know what's gonna happen. Just coming here and blah blah blah. I was like, oh my god.
I'm like,
Yikes.
man, you better be
Man,
careful, bro, for they end up killing you. I
Right.
was like, man. But he was brave.
he was so brave.
really, really brave.
Adolin is so dope. I mean, like, Kaladin is forever going to be my favorite, but Adolin is like Gabby said, the best book boyfriend husband ever, and
Can you
just
say that with the whole series? Now that we read all
No.
the books, can you
no.
so it's Adeline?
I don't, for a book husband type of person.
Yeah. Who is your book husband?
My book husband.
I'm gonna say Hoyd for me because he's a storyteller. If you think about all the books that we read, like for Brandon Sanderson.
I don't know. I want to say it wouldn't even be a person. Maybe it would be
Or would it be Ellen?
one of the Kolos.
Or
What's
like
the
Vin?
one that was a dog? What's his name? It starts with
One of
the
the Khandra.
yeah, one of the Khandra.
Oh God, what was his name?
He was so loyal. He's just loyal.
Was it human? Was it human? No.
No,
That was a
T. It was Vince Khandra that was in the shape of a dog or a wolf.
Mhm.
God, he was in Lost Metal.
oh God. Oh yeah, freak.
It starts with a G. Oh my god, I feel so stupid. Anyways, what's yours, Gabby?
So if I can't choose Adolin, I probably would go with Ellen, just because
Tensoon.
Yeah,
Tensoon. Yeah, that's yeah. Ellen for me has a lot of similar kind of feelings that I have with Adolin. You know, he was loyal, he's smart, he is a go-getter, but he has that spot in his heart for those that he really cares about. And while he might not always make the best decisions, he is trying his absolute best, which is always something I look for when it comes to like any character. Like they can make all the mistakes in the world and it can be infuriating. But if they're showing that they're at least trying and that they are trying to then learn from the mistakes they made, like also just the whole thing with the well, that whole escapade, I bawled my eyes out with that. So because I love him so much.
I love that. Out of the entire Cosmere, I mean, we haven't really got into the Lost Metal, but whatever. Who's your favorite character?
In the Lost Metal?
No, in the entire Cosmere.
I can't even say that. I can't really say that.
Hard.
They're all good characters in their own way. Like, I mean, with
Top
Mistborn.
two. Top two.
For some reason, I still like Kelsier because I still feel he's doing some good. We just don't know yet.
We just don't know what it is.
Those Bloods. So Kelsier is still on the list. And I don't know. I really like Shalon because she was just so real.
She was.
And as a human being, like you go through so much struggle, so much trauma, and you don't want people to see what you're going through, so you try to hide it. I think like she's the most realest one. Like I really enjoyed. So I would say Kelsier and Shalon.
Yeah. I think Shalon is definitely one of mine too, because she's the only reason I really kept going with the Stormlight archive in general. Like she was my favorite character out of that entire series. And then I gotta go back to my boy Sazed. Sazed.
Oh man.
Has like a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And like how he ends up with the end of Mistborn Era 1, I'm just like, you go, Sazed. Go live your best life.
Right. It's crazy because we see him in the Lost Metal. As well.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely going to be Kaladin. I feel like the journey, the treatment, the grief, the depression, the anxiety was so relatable. Being a leader, even in pushing through it, all of that is something that I just absolutely loved. And then I would definitely probably say, I kind of want to say Wayne, but then I also want to say that somebody from Warbreaker. Oh my god, they all have two names.
Is it Vivenna?
No, one of the gods. He was just so freaking funny.
Didn't he die or whatever?
Yes, he died. He sacrificed himself. Yeah.
Sacrificed himself. And this is not the first time he died. First time he died for saving his niece, right?
Yep,
The
saving
one you
his
talking about? I don't remember.
sing along, when I don't know. They all have different names.
I don't remember.
They all have different names. Who knows?
Have my notes. I thought I may have. Warbreaker, of course, is my favorite, but yeah.
Warbreaker is my favorite out of the entire Cosmere.
Yeah, it was cute, and it was just
You can tell his wife helped him with that book. Like, it has a really soft touch to it, which I absolutely
has some type of feminism in it. It's like
Light Song, I think.
Light Song, yes.
There it is.
Yeah, Light Song. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He just like was this nosy Snoopy, but trying to uncover things. There was a mystery behind, like and because I love that book so much, I was just like, I love him.
Mm-hmm.
He kept me going through that book, and I kind of, now that we know about Spren and Shards and the blades and all, I kind of want to go back and reread that one. I kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of Spren in there.
Mm-hmm.
Even the swords, like. Ugh.
And I'm looking for, because how the book ended, there has to be another book.
It has to be,
because they're about to go back. They're about to fight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I wonder when that's gonna happen. We'll see those characters again.
At least not until around 2024, probably.
Probably, but then will Vivenna be back there? I wonder. And Vasher, will they come back or will they be? I don't know. Who knows?
No
I wonder
clue.
if they're like married and what? Because
it didn't seem like they were attracted to each other, though. It didn't seem like.
Yeah, I think that was the feel, was that they were attracted to each other, and so we were kind of all hoping to see if they would end up together. I'd be curious though, especially with all these secret projects that are supposed to be, maybe new series. Where do other people come in? Do we get to see things from Warbreaker in a sense tie into any of these? And then how do those tie in with Stormlight? There's got to be more to this. And then everything's going to tie back into, I would think, Elantris and then Mistborn. This might be the ultimate crossover book, Rhythm of War, but there's so much more.
There is.
Right. There is.
There really is.
I don't know.
You're absolutely right.
Even with the lost metal, I feel like there's definitely going to be something else. How it ended.
But then the epilogue was just, it made it seem like it was complete. And I don't know.
There's rumors that
whereas several years later,
yeah,
time hops.
Because Wax has his kids and all this. Man, I cried.
You know what? Like, what? I'm trying not to be mushy, and I was telling Brandy this earlier. This has been a year-long journey with you two, and I love it.
We stuck it out.
We completed the Cosmere world, that's published so far, and like these last two books, The Lost Metal and Rhythm of War, were tear jerkers for me. Like, this was the ultimate way to end a whole year worth of Sanderson and just the Cosmere. That both books were so emotional. Like, Sanderson in his last 150 pages or last 100 pages, whatever it is.
It seemed like it was never ending. I mean, his books, when you read those big old books, it's like, dang. Like, the first book I liked, but it was like, come on. I was like, I had to speed up the audio for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was all worth it. I feel like I know each and every one of the characters. I feel like we've seen all their struggles and everything. We've seen the bad and we've seen the good.
The great, the not so great, the relationship building.
Mhm.
Oh
The good,
God.
the bad, the ugly.
The forming of empires, the destruction of empires. You know, the building it from the ground up. Like I feel like we, especially in the Stormlight archives, when everything just comes apart and then they have to rebuild and restructure. You see Kaladin and his crew going from slaves to actual soldiers and having a life and a family and wives and Bridge 4. Just God.
Man, I just wonder to see if there's a happy ending for everyone. Like they all live in peace one day. I feel like Kaladin is definitely gonna be fighting some more. He's not done, I don't think.
He gonna be fighting in the spiritual realm as well. Like I feel like Kaladin ain't gonna fight till he gonna be like Kelsier, and he's like, I'm not moving on to death, and I'm just gonna stay here in the spiritual realm and live life over here.
That reminds me,
like him.
Right. It reminds me, do you find it interesting that Kelsier were inviting women into it? Marcy and Shalon? I found that interesting.
No, it didn't surprise me because of the whole thing with Vin.
With Vin?
Yeah.
But both of them, it was just Vin though.
Right.
It was just Vin.
I don't think he was ever opposed to letting women come into it. It kind of was like more opportunity. And that's what I wonder about with Mraize and with or not Mraize, Marasi and Shalon is I think when he sees somebody that he thinks is good and he thinks is strong, he's gonna snatch him up best he can. So that's kind of what I think in terms of like bringing them on to the Ghost Bloods.
Yeah. I completely agree with you because it was based off of talent. I think Vin was there because she was a Mistborn, and there wasn't that many Mistborns, right? In Mistborn Era 1, so he needed her. And so Shalon's talent, being a radiant, and then her talents are, is what they need. And so I think that would, I can see that more so than anything. But
now they're not in it, so I wonder who he's gonna choose next. Who are his next people that he's gonna try to invite? Because they said they don't just invite anybody.
I mean, we got Elantris World, we got Warbreakers. Someone somewhere is going to also get pulled in. That was showcasing that, like the whole story with Elantris, the hope of Elantris. The chick that was the main character in that, she could become a bigger character later on. She saved all those kids. Like,
you think Vivenna could possibly? No, I don't know if she could be a Ghost Blood.
I don't know if she'd be a Ghost Blood, but I wouldn't be surprised if he reached out to her at some point.
Probably. Especially
if he thought she'd be a package deal.
Yeah, because she knows Vasher, and obviously he has a past and stuff.
I want to know more about him because his was like, he was one of the 5 scholars. And so like, what's going on with that? Like we didn't get much into that, but I don't know. I want to know more. Zeth was another one that I was surprised about, like throughout the Rhythm of War. I'm like, because we have always known him as the traitor, the killer, the this, the that. Like,
but now
we hate him, but he definitely evolved within Rhythm of War as well.
Yeah. And I think part of that has been like he recognizes how manipulated he had been for years. I mean, when Taravangian got him, he had already, been somebody that was tossed around from person to person.
Yeah.
Like when he was used up, he was sent on to the next person.
Yeah.
And he had what he felt was no say in the fact that he had to go kill Galinar and try to kill other people. So hearing him talk about some of that in Rhythm of War was really interesting because like you got to see that side of him that I think we were all looking for and understand. He honestly has lived his life where he's felt he's had no actual control, and Dalinar is pretty much giving him that control again, or maybe for the first time. And that's odd to him.
Right.
Absolutely. And he just knowing like I'm going to, follow Dalinar, and then he just I think there was a line where he was just like, I am no longer like he stood up to someone, and I was just like, go you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that little rock or whatever it is. Like, you are who you are, and you make your decisions for you,
Right.
So I was just like so kind of proud of him throughout this, towards the end of the book.
Yeah. I don't know.
Rhythm of War was just fucking epic.
I know.
It was fucking.
Y'all have anything to say for the Lost Metal?
Yes. The Lost Metal was fucking amazing. Oh my gosh. One, Wayne will always be the best character out of the entire Mistborn Heir 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the book literally opens up like, Wayne, he makes it seem like he's like this bum, right? Like he's a bum, like he owes a lot of people money, like he's just like, not smart, like he's just his impulses are fucking out of control. But low-key, you were the best investor ever, the best person making decisions and being proactive.
Yeah.
And just doing things that society needs and making a really large profit and just predicting really well. This book, Lost Metal, made me cry.
I think we got to know more about Wayne too, especially when Milan broke up with him or whatever. He was heartbroken. But
it was so sad.
But she even mentions that she's traveling to different planets in the cosmos.
Mm-hmm. And how does that happen if you're not like a full-on world hopper, or if you have the ability from a god to world hop? Like, is that a thing, or are you taking in storm? How
there's some type of portal or something? Like in Eurythero, there was some type of place portal they would step through, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder though, is it possible for somebody to be endowed essentially from a god, like some certain powers, like that would be an interesting thing, is that if there are certain people, like let's say Hoyd Wit, maybe that's why he's able to do a lot of the stuff, is maybe if he's not a Spren, he was given a crap ton of power by somebody, and then who would that be?
That's what I was thinking about, the original shard giving part of them to Hoyd, or creating Hoyd and giving some of their powers to Hoyd, which is why he's the only, the second oldest person before the god was split up in shards.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Are we going to think like a Horcrux kind of idea in a sense, where are there more people that are like him?
I think
where they've split off more power. And is that how the shards broke up in the first place? Did doing that weaken the shards in some way to where...
I have no idea. That's crazy. These books make you think.
And that's even discussing some of these shards, we've only touched how many? Maybe 10 to 12. I don't know. Yeah. We haven't hit all 17.
No.
We haven't hit all 17. So I'm sure that these new additional series are going to touch some of these shards, because some of the books, like Warbreaker has 1 shard, Mistborn has 2, right? Stormlight Archives has 3. So we haven't even touched that many shards. So like,
I don't know.
Shards from.
It was just interesting how they brought up the Cosmere a lot in the Lost Metal, because Vendel brought up how the Cosmere is made up of 3 essences. One was matter, energy, and investor. So I was like, oh, that's sort of nice to know. And then we got to know more about Trell and Harmony. More of Harmony is in here. I don't know. It was interesting.
Harmony was pissing me off because, like, And I don't know why you have all these blind splats and like, I mean, if you're gonna try to make an impact, be helpful. Like, just he was pissing me off, and towards the beginning and throughout the middle of the book, it's like, yo, like, come on, tell us something. Don't you have people playing a guessing game on some of this stuff? Like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. But the Cosmere was brought up so much in the Lost Metal, so much.
They didn't mention Kelsier, but you see Marsh and stuff was in it, saying that 3 of whoever from the original crew is alive.
Yes, and who is that? Marsh, Kelsier,
and then who else?
Maybe Sazed?
I mean, if we're going to count Sazed, who's off gallivanting on his own in some capacity, then maybe. But I wonder if there's somebody else.
I was thinking that too.
Breeze? No, because Breeze is already dead. I think they mentioned that early in Era 2.
Breeze is dead. But I mean, like, Kelsier kept, even when Kelsier had a conversation with Harmony, he kept calling him Sazed. Like, he kept calling him his name, his original name.
Right.
Like, come on, my friend, Sazed. Like, are you with us? Da, 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 da.
Vin is dead. Ellen is dead.
Breeze.
It's probably a character that wasn't really a main character.
Boyd? Well, no, he wasn't.
He wasn't really in Mistborn.
The kid. What was the kid's name? The one that we talked about early on, where they were like, oh, they could have descended from him. I think it was Wax's family.
Wait, Wax's family?
I think so. We were talking like early in Mistborn Era 2. They said that somebody was descended from the kid. I can't remember his name.
He was descendant of Marsh, wasn't he?
No.
He had his hands?
Breeze is the descendant.
Breeze is the descendant of who?
Of Wax. Of Wax's parents.
Well, what about he was the younger kid, the nephew, I think. Oh my God, what was his name?
Oh God, now I gotta look it up.
Right.
He said Waxillian is a descendant of Edgar Landrian and Elrian Set. Set? No, Set's dead.
Yeah. Never mind. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Oh no.
Because I thought there was something where they mentioned that it was possible somebody else was still alive that shouldn't have been.
I'm about to see who
Wax is a descendant of Breeze.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he survived. Just trying to see.
I want to know.
I know.
Other members of Set's family alive in Mistborn are 2, Lady Alvine and her heir Westweather.
Who is still alive?
I
don't know.
Does the Lord Ruler have kids?
I don't know.
No.
I mean,
I don't know.
The Lord was his men, the nobles were human supporters. Might be interesting in these kids. I don't know. This is a look.
Yeah, now I'm curious who is still alive.
Spook?
Oh, Spook. Yeah, that's who it was.
Okay.
Wasn't there somebody that had said in Era 2, like at the very beginning, that somebody was descended from Spook?
Mm-hmm.
Who was that?
I don't remember who
I
it
remember
was.
speaking in the first book.
He was mentioned because they think like at the very least, like it's been like 200 years since he was alive. But who's to say he couldn't still be? Because I think he's the only other person that was still alive by the end of Era 1. Because he was doing a lot of stuff.
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up. It says Spook had a bunch of kids and many descendants.
Mm-hmm. But who's to say that he couldn't necessarily still be alive?
True.
Because if we've got Marsh still alive for reasons, right? Kelsier's still around. We've got Sazed. Is it possible that one of them could have had Spook continue his life?
It says that potentially Mazed potentially being Spook.
Who?
Mazed? What's the Ghost Blood's name? Person?
Mraize?
Mraize potentially being Spook.
Huh.
I mean, Kelsier and Spook together in Blood Bowl, or God, I can't even talk at this point. But being in the same group, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And if he is Mraize, what the hell's going on there? Why?
I remember seeing Mraize in White Sand, I believe. I believe he was in White Sand too.
I don't know. I don't think he's Mraize. I don't think. Because Mraize is a world hopper. He's from the Rashar. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's from Rashar and with that name.
I don't know. Because he doesn't have any other aliases from what I'm looking at.
I mean, it even says status, if you're looking on like the wiki fandom, status is unknown. So we don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he's still alive. Like, he could be Mraize, and if he is, somebody's given him power. Who would have done that? Maybe Sazed? He's got...
Maybe.
He's a 10-eye. And he's a humalurgist.
Yeah, because in Mistborn Era 1, he got, like, all kinds of screwed up.
Right.
And tortured, basically. So now he has hemalurgy.
I don't know.
I'm like, the fact that I he said that, I was just like, okay, who's the third person?
Mm-hmm.
Because even Sazed is not really Sazed anymore, right?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Is like Sazed, while is a part of the original group, he's off doing his own thing. He probably is not going to be really involved with what Kelsier's doing because he's a full-on god now. He's got godly duties. So who would the third person be that would still somehow be alive? Because it's possible.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a lot
like
of
the people of the original crew was, of course, Kelsier, Clandon, who was a smoker, Doxson, Hammond, Breeze, Sazed, Van, Spook, and Orser, I guess.
Orser was the original Khandra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tensoon killed Orser
and
took over.
Yeah. And then you had Yinden, you had Ellen, you had Mare, who was Kelsier's wife. You had Marsh, which he's still alive.
Maybe it's Tensoon, because Tensoon did show up in the Lost Metal.
And then you had Demo, and you had Tenwool.
I don't know. Maybe Tensoon.
Maybe
Tensoon. It could be. I don't know. Maybe Spook.
I don't know, because Tensoon, I wonder how would he be considered a fully fledged member of the team in the sense because he like killed to get his way in and assume somebody else's identity? Would they still trust him even after some time? I don't know.
I don't know.
I know Vin trusted him at one point, and he proved himself by the end of Hero of Ages, but would he be considered a part of the original group? I don't know.
Yeah, Vin, Club, Spook, Ellen, Dachshund, Hammond, Breeze, and Sazed. Breeze survived because he had descendants, but
Mhm. But he, I think, just
I
died
think
on
it's
his
Spook.
own.
I think it's Spook.
I think it might be too.
Cured, say the cured Spook.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
Exactly.
I think it's Spook.
And Sazed even said that Spook has bigger things going on later.
Mhm.
He's meant for bigger things later on. So I'm thinking it's Spook.
I think it's Spook.
it might be. But that's a question mark. I don't think nobody knows.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how that whole reveal comes out.
And that's a good point. So in the Secret History, the novella, Kelsier did talk with Spook about exploring hemalurgy and other compounds in metals.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we know that, you know, obviously he's still alive and whatnot, but like, he has, I don't know how he lived that long, but I think it's Spook. I think it's Spook.
And even if he's not Moraes
after Mistborn Era 2, because Mistborn or the Secret History is kind of, it's right after Mistborn Era 1, right? But I mean, we read it after Mistborn Era 2, but I mean, like, I still think it's Spook.
Yeah, and even if Spook is not Moraes, there's still something going on that Spook is involved with.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I would be willing to bet that Moraes might just be their own character, and even if they are a part of Kelsier's Ghostblood team, I still think there's some kind of rogueness going on there. It doesn't seem right.
Right.
So if Spook is not Moraes, then the question is where is he and what is he doing?
I don't know.
How is he involved? If is he involved in anything going on in Stormlight, or is he off somewhere else?
Yeah. If anything, he would definitely, if he is
He's a Mistborn.
alive, if he is alive, I'm sure he's part of the Ghostbloods.
Well, thank you, Nancy.
I'm sure he's a part of the Ghostbloods. Now, after Mistborn Era 2 was supposed to be finished, we're supposed to get a Mistborn Secret History 2. And so hopefully that comes out, you know, this year, next year, whenever. But hopefully he writes it, and it will have more
Answer some of our questions.
Yeah. I would be curious, especially if he writes it under Kelsier again, and we learn, especially now that Rhythm of War and the Stormlight Archive have all happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does he tie in all of this other stuff? Because it's been a minute since Secret History 1 came out. There's been so much more that's been divulged. So
he might do a flashback like he always done, like 10 years before, or I don't know. There's a way he'll have us catch up, probably.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if Secret History 2, like, we got the cracks going on with Stormlight. I would not be surprised if Secret History 2 just completely cracks through the entire thing.
Oh, that would be freaking amazing. Because Mistborn Era 1 and 2 is finished. He's then going to move on to Mistborn Era 3, which is more modern, and Mistborn Era 4 would be more sci-fi. So, I mean, we're finished with 1 and 2. So hopefully there's massive spoilers. I see here that he was asked if Spook is alive. And he said there is more to the story with Spook. I won't confirm if he's dead or alive. If I write a Secret History 2, there will be some stuff about Spook. That's all I can say. And that was his response.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, because I think, for one, I think when anybody says something about I can neither confirm nor deny somebody's dead, it's usually like they're not dead. Like they're not dead, or they are, but there's something else going on with their death that, like, we need to, like, talk about, like, leading up to that actual death. So I'm not surprised. I think that Secret History 2 is going to blast everything out of the water, and everything after that's going to be like, what's the after effects, or what's going to happen immediately after these things are blown up.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, give us, just lay everything out.
Mhm.
Because that's kind of how I felt like with the Secret History 1. There was a lot that was unpacked and uncovered that it just made sense, and we needed that novella. We needed that novella to make those type of connections.
Mhm.
Right.
But I'm just glad that Marsh mentioned that there was 3 of them, so now we can okay, let's figure it out. It's another puzzle, a piece to a puzzle that we're just like, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it keeps us going. It keeps us guessing.
Right.
So,
I don't know. There's a lot of questions that.
there's so many questions. Wait, so Wax is a descendant of Marsh? No, Wax is a descendant of who? Breeze.
Breeze,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Somebody, though, was mentioned in the first book of Era 2 being a descendant of Spook, I think. Because he was mentioned at some point. I just don't remember who
in that first book. He definitely was in the first book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if
He
Maricide?
has so many kids.
Right. What'd you say, Gabby?
I was saying, what if it's Maricide? That's Spook's descendant, if he has any.
Well, if you think about her and her cousin, technically they're not cousins, they're siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So who was their dad? Does it say much about?
I don't think so. All we know is that Maricide is kind of like there's the heir and the spare kind of thing, and she's the spare.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm curious. Because he had like 10, 12, 13 kids. He had a bunch of kids.
Oh, their relative was Tinwool.
Oh. Okay.
And their ancestor was Spook.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. This is...
Has he ever come out with a
we can put it
family
together.
tree thing? Like, can we get instead of just a world map, can we get a family tree map of this?
Right.
Maybe Spook requested to have Maricide. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious.
Would not be surprised. Yeah, because especially if he's around and he's able to see stuff going on, he probably would be able to see people like Shalon and Maricide and be like, yo, Kelsier, check out these peeps.
Right. I don't know. That's crazy.
Kelsier basically promises Spook immortality at the end of Secret History. I don't remember that part, but now I got to go back and look at it. But the Lost Metal, after that happened, and we see Tensoon, Marsh, the Ghost Bloods is starting to unravel. We're seeing more of them. We're seeing where they're located. Kelsier pops up. That was like jaw dropping. I was like,
I'm like, oh God, Kelsier. Nice to see you, bro.
Man, I missed him. I missed Mistborn. And the moment I picked up this book and started reading it, I was just like, I miss y'all. Where have y'all been? I miss them so much. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I'm just glad they're back in my life, and I think that they're it's finished now. It's kind of sad. Oh.
Well, technically we're not finished. You got the secret projects now.
I'm thinking about 1 and 2. I feel like I built a relationship with them. We friends in my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kelsier is just, oh man. I'm just glad he popped up again. even if it was his spiritual realm. And then he said he's crossing ocean or something like that. Like he's running and crossing oceans, trying to get back to where they were. And I'm like,
It makes me think of Tress, the first secret project, because they're talking about the ocean and on the ship and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because I mean, like, what else are they gonna do? You know, like you have white sand that is built in like a desert area. We have Mistborn, which is in technically it was like a bunch of ash, right? And like not really much. And then Mistborn Air 2, where it's like a regular world.
Elantris, where people are.
There's a whole city of the dead.
Yeah.
And you don't actually die, kind of thing. Like you might be dead, but you're not really dead.
Just live in pain for the rest of your life. Yeah, you got Warbreaker, another place.
Yep. Which again, we theorized whether it is a version of some kind or closely related world to Mistborn, because there's all the color that's been drained out of Mistborn's world.
That's true.
Yep.
And Stormlight, whole other area.
We have the water, we have the sea, we have the sea and space that we have yet to touch. But I mean, for the most part, like, he's doing an amazing job. I'm just glad. I'm glad that we read this book, and then afterwards, with the Ghost Bloods and Kelsier popping up, then what happened? I'm trying to think. I had notes and everything in my head. I'm not sure. Oh, the what was it? Necessarily a war? I don't know. Something fucking epic went down. Wayne is just like Wayne.
Yep.
I love the idea of the way Wayne went out. It was perfect. It was perfect. I thought he was so, just like he could not be killed. Just
he wanted to do something bigger than himself, which I feel we might see him again. Maybe.
Oh, 1000%.
I think we'll see him again after what he done. Who knows? Maybe he'll be invited into the Ghost Bloods for what he's done.
Maybe
that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in Shadesmar. Maybe.
He might be.
Because isn't that like more of a spiritual? It's not like the spiritual realm that Kelsier's in. Because he's in that in between stage of being alive yet not dead. But like maybe he died and just like Jessna and just went to Shadesmar and just like, hey. Yeah. Or maybe he's in the same realm as
for the sacrifice he did. I feel like Brandon Sanderson will bring him back in some type of way.
I hope so.
And Kelsier likes stuff like that.
Exactly. So it's entirely possible that somebody's going to catch wind about Wayne and they're going to probably nab him up.
Yeah.
And then give him like all his money. The grief that he had with that one decision of killing someone and pain. He's trying to right his wrongs throughout the entire series. Showing up at this lady's house, giving them money. And then you see within the book is like, I'm used to him being here on the first, and I have all these bills that I do. I have people I need to pay. Where has he been? And then he,
yeah.
And she had no idea. She was relying, like part of it, like part of that pissed me off too, because it's like you rely on him so much for that fucking check, but then you treat him like shit because yes, he did kill your father, but for years, and you rely on him. You rely on him clearly.
Yeah.
The moment he doesn't show up on the first.
That's what you know he's a good guy though.
Goofy guy. And Harmony was like, only you could have done this. Like, only you. You are the best. You know, the best.
You don't see Wax doing that since he has a family. I don't really like Wax all like that. Anyway, I feel like he's a fill-in. Like, I didn't really care for Wax.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, I really didn't care for him.
His wife is pretty dope, though.
Yeah, she did hold it down for them.
Her little OCD or whatever, you know, preparation and plans on top of plans on top of plans on top of plans worked out really, really well during this book, because we finally get to see her put it to use in protecting the people in her preparation. But like, having that many plans on top of plans, how do you have time to clean your house and take care of your kids? Like, what? I'm missing something.
You don't.
You don't.
No.
You got
Thinking as somebody with massive anxiety that has to do that stuff and have backup plans on backup plans on backup plans, you don't sleep half the time.
Oh man.
I have plans, but I have plan A and plan B. And then if plan A don't work, I make plan C. I got plans on top of plans, but I build to it. Like, she just
does it.
She just does it.
But then she has help. She has other people to help them. So I mean,
that's true.
They got money.
Kids now, like,
got nannies.
Way.
I guess if you want to say that, nannies or whatever. And you had Hoyt as their driver. So
Wit. I don't even want to call him Hoyt no more. Wit. Whatever. I need to. Yeah. Wit just shows up, and he's been his driver for years. Like, where the fuck you been at? Like, for years, Sway.
I feel like he's upping his status. First he was a beggar, then he was now he's a driver, and
he was a storyteller.
Elantris, he was a person helping them or whatever. Warbreaker. Warbreaker, he was a storyteller. In Stormlight, he's still a storyteller.
Yeah, he's more of like a court jester.
Yeah,
the king's wit too. Like, being the king's wit, being the king's, you know.
He's literally been in every single book.
He wasn't in the Well of Ascension. He wasn't in the Well of Ascension.
No, yeah, he's been in every series though.
He's been in every series.
He's been mentioned a lot,
and I don't think I've seen him in White Sand.
But isn't he like talked about? Because isn't he like technically? Because I thought at one point you had said that he kind of, like, with all of the other world hoppers, he was kind of that oddball. He goes outside of the rules of the world hoppers kind of thing. Yeah, I thought they mentioned him.
We probably mentioned him and just brushed him aside. Like, he's not.
I think, and you're talking about in Well of Ascension?
No, in White Sand.
Maybe.
I don't know. I gotta read it. I'm waiting for
maybe because I think Chris does mention other people with other worlds and her traveling, because Chris is also a world hopper. So maybe
I need my White Sand pre-order. I don't know when I'm getting that.
Yeah, I remember when you were reading it, Bree, I thought you had said something about, like, he's not in it, but that he's mentioned as being like the one that's on the outside because everybody hates the fact that he goes against the rules, kind of thing, or something like that.
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think he was mentioned in the second book. Yeah. Okay. I think you have a better memory than I do, but
it happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
He is in White Sand. You are absolutely right, because Keaton, he is the main character that has the ability to move. And the whole White Sand series is like these people that are able to use and move sand to help their community, but meanwhile they're like draining the community because everything is free. And so Keaton is like trying to save the department area that he's in, and Hoyd was a musician that was playing his flute. And in regards to Sandmasters, they were like doing something, and he was in it. He was.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I'm glad you remember, because what? He was in the second volume.
See, I haven't even read it. I just remember you had like mentioned it because I think you had read it shortly after. I want to say it might have been after Mistborn Era 1. I don't remember. But it was like shortly after we started everything. I remember you said you read it.
Yeah. I remember that because I read the first one twice.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
It's a good series.
Trying to get that new hard copy that they
Yeah, we ordered the omnibus.
I don't even know when that's going to be shipped out. So
February, March,
something like that. Something around there.
I don't know. I just know. You can't buy the books anymore, so you gotta
get that or not get it at all.
Gotta get the omnibus, otherwise you're not gonna get it at all.
Yeah.
So I just I kind of want to, now that we have completed a whole year almost of the Cosmere, I do want to look at all of the shards and see how many we've touched, so I know going into these secret history or these secret projects, like how many potential shards we have yet to even know out of 17.
Yeah.
So, and I think the first book is Trust, right? I think the last book is the Hoyd book, and the one in September, October. Did you order the books, Gabby?
Nope.
Well, you can still get them though, because
yeah, I'm kind of holding out just because, especially right now, like this year, I'm trying to stay on a book buying ban, which so far I'm doing really well with. Yes. But I'm kind of holding out for like when I get gift cards and stuff from like family for birthday and stuff like that. Focusing on getting my anticipated reads for the year stuff, because like I really want to try to get as many of those done as I can. So those are kind of on a back burner for me, but when they come out,
but the ebook is available, so we just we'll chat. Yeah, the ebook is available. We got it. Don't worry about it, because Trust is definitely something. It's a short book. It's like 400 pages.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. So
definitely beats a 1,300 page floppy paperback.
I feel like we're not going to see those books until he does have Stormlight, the Stormlight Archives again. I feel like these other books are not going to be as big. I don't think
either. Either way, I think it's been an amazing journey, and I get why Brandon Sanderson has the hype that he has. We completed a whole year. How many books have we read? Like between novellas and the actual books, well over 20, I'm sure.
Yeah,
or at least 20 with all of the novellas. But the Cosmere World is done. It's
for now
finished for now. All of its published books, publicly published books. I've read all of them. Kudos to y'all. I'm so happy to have been able to do this with you guys.
Just looking at all these books that come out, I'm like, this is all new books. The Sunlit Man.
That's going to be the Hoyd book.
In a future in the Cosmere universe, a perpetual planetary wanderer must decide whether to keep running or stay and make a difference on a struggling planet.
I thought that was a Hoyd, but maybe that is Hoyd.
And then you have Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Yeah, this is a gripping story set in the Cosmere universe, told by Hoyd, where two people from incredibly different worlds must compromise and work together to save their worlds from ruin.
Ruin as in the god ruin?
It just says ruin, so it could be
because that would, you know what? Play on words, right? Because ruin in Lost Metal they were able to. They're trying to split the metal apart, and then you would have a piece of ruin and a piece of
what wasn't it Harmony?
no, not Harmony.
No,
Preservation.
Preservation.
Yes, preservation.
They're trying to split the shards up, and ruin was mentioned in the Lost Metal.
Yeah. The other one is called The Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So Jason Bourne meets epic fantasy in a captivating adventure that throws a wizard into time travel shenanigans where his only hope of survival lies in recovering his missing memory.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
That sounds like it's going to be a fun, campy one. Like,
right.
There's always the one. There's always the one that's going to be really silly and stupid just for the hell of it.
Right, like a frugal wizard. Oh, man. But the press one even sounds interesting. It says, go deeper into the Cosmere universe with this rollicking, riveting tale that will appeal to fans of The Princess Bride. So I'm like, huh.
Yay! That makes me happy.
Princess Bride. I like Princess Bride.
I love it. It's one of my favorite movies.
So there might be maybe some romance in there. Possibly.
Probably going to be really funny, though. Yeah. Another funny one.
Yeah, because, Princess Bride was hysterical, but it had some romance in there, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm really curious now.
That makes me so happy. It's the little things.
Right. It is the little things. I'm really excited to get into more of his books and to see what else is being revealed.
Yeah.
But I feel like there is so much other stuff that we could possibly add up. It's just so much to consume.
Right. Well, and then on top of it, you can spend hours theorizing every single aspect of every single book we've read.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, the most fun aspect of it. And it's probably why he is so hyped, is because he's a very different author in the sense that a lot of other big authors like George R.R. Martin or like Stephen King, who have these very expansive worlds, right? You can only do so much with them in terms of theorizing.
Mm-hmm.
There's only there's so much like before you hit a limit. With Sanderson, that limit does not exist.
Yeah, he made a whole world.
Exactly.
There is no limit. There is no limit. He made such a complex world and a magic system that it's endless.
Just like George R.R. Martin, it's endless. I mean, it is like it'll end because he's only talking about a certain family and all that. It ends up being the same storyline,
right?
As opposed to Brandon Sanderson, it's just he could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't know, like George Lucas in a sense, like how like he did Star Wars and stuff.
I mean, yeah, Star Wars has its limits, though. I think in terms of theorizing, just because like it's just very centered around one main story arc, right? Yeah. Whereas the Cosmere, it's okay. It's like Marvel in a sense, right? Now that Marvel, for instance, has the whole timelines aspect, every which possible way you can theorize of how this is going to go in this timeline. Like they had a whole TV show that's like, what if.
Like they have a different dimensions. Like it's, like
right.
different Spider-Mans.
And that's what Sanderson's done. He created an entire world similar to that where there are complete endless possibilities of things that can happen and people that can be tied into other places because we have a whole set of characters that get themselves involved in all of these worlds at some point.
Yep.
So who's to say that one person doesn't transcend to 5 other different systems?
Right.
I love that. I love that analogy because if there's one way to explain the Cosmere world, even like just like you said, Marvel is a great, it's not just Batman or not Batman. It's not just it's not just Black Panther and Captain America, right? Like there's so many different series within it that all relate to each other.
Yep.
And that is the Cosmere world. And then they come together and then, and then they just keep expanding.
Yep.
then creating more characters, right? Thor, like now Thor has other main characters, and it just keeps going.
Right.
Yeah,
Just keeps going.
and with the timeline having been completely destroyed, you've got Loki doing his own thing. You've got Wanda having done her own thing. Then her teaming up with Doctor Strange, and then like there's so many other things because like it all started off similar to Sanderson, where you had individual sets of movies.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just like they were in the comics, individual sets of characters that had their own storyline. And then when the Avengers came around, that brought everybody together, or like a good chunk of them. And you also had the X-Men all by themselves doing their own thing. And now there's so much more that can be done with it. And Sanderson's done the same thing. And he, I think, is going to have a career that is going to go past his time. There are going to be people working on his books long after he's gone because there's no way to end anything fully in his world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope he does make I hope he does, conclude it himself, because but if he does conclude it and the Cosmere does eventually end, it's going to be a series.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a series. It's going to be a jam-packed plot twist after plot twist after plot twist.
He could do a lot because he has a lot of characters that also have their own storylines too.
Yeah.
And you know how it's all going to come to a head?
Yep.
Yep.
All going to turn into a black hole. And then that is how I know he's going to end that whole thing, if he's able to finish it himself, because I don't think there's any other way he would be able to do it without having everything collapse on itself.
Right.
Yep. And it coming back to the original God. And I love the theories.
Yeah.
I love the theories.
I think we covered everything though. This has been fun. It's been an
amazing year, and I've said it before. A whole year with you guys is fucking phenomenal.
It's amazing.
And we're ending it on Brandy's 30th birthday.
Oh God.
A whole year of Cosmere. What a great way to fucking end this massive 1 year Cosmere world on your 30th. Like,
yeah, I'm 30 now.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Old hag.
That's how we end it.
And done.
Yes.
Finished.
But thank you all for sticking with us with this amazing read along for an entire year. Don't worry, we probably have more. We're gonna have more in store for y'all. And as you can see, Brandon Sanderson is still coming out with more books. So we probably will come. You'll see us again. Real soon.
Seen The Last of Us.
Right, haven't seen The Last of Us. But thank you once again for joining us and watching us and just talking with us as we talk about these books. But we will catch y'all later. Have a great evening. See ya. Bye.
Bye.